Welcome to our channel. Please remember to like and subscribe to the channel for more horror stories like this. What lurks in the dark? The night was dark and stormy, and Sarah was stranded at her workplace. She worked at a small boutique store in the city, and the store was located in an isolated part of town. Sarah had been working late to complete a big order, and she had lost track of time. When she finally finished, she realized it was well past midnight, and she needed to get home. As she stepped out of the store, the wind howled, and raindrops pelted her face. She pulled her coat tightly around her, grabbed her umbrella, and started walking towards her apartment. The streets were deserted, and the only sound was the pounding of raindrops on the pavement. She could feel the hair on the back of her neck standing up as she walked through the dark and eerie city streets. As she turned a corner, she saw a figure lurking in the shadows. She stopped dead in her tracks, heart racing, and watched as the figure moved slowly towards her. The figure was tall and lean, with a long, flowing coat that billowed in the wind. Sarah tried to quicken her pace, but the figure seemed to be following her. She could hear its footsteps getting closer and closer. She turned around, but the figure was gone. She must have imagined it. But the feeling of unease stayed with her. She walked faster, trying to ignore the feeling of someone watching her. Then she heard it, a faint whisper of something moving in the darkness. She turned around and saw two glowing orbs staring back at her. Her heart skipped a beat, and she started to run. But it was too late, the figure was already upon her. It was a man, tall and imposing, with sharp features and piercing eyes. He wore a long, black coat, and his face was obscured by the shadows. He grabbed Sarah by the arm and pulled her towards him, his grip strong and unyielding. "Where do you think you're going?" he growled. Sarah tried to pull away, but his grip only tightened. She could feel the cold, hard metal of a knife pressed against her throat. "Please, let me go," she begged, her voice shaking with fear. The man only laughed, a cold, sinister sound that echoed through the empty streets. He dragged her into an alleyway, the rain pounding down on them, and pushed her up against the wall. "Please, don't hurt me," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. The man sneered and pressed the knife closer to her throat. Sarah closed her eyes, waiting for the inevitable. But then, suddenly, there was a loud noise. The man turned his head, distracted, and Sarah took her chance. She pushed him away and ran as fast as she could, her heart pounding in her chest. She didn't stop running until she reached her apartment building. She burst through the door and collapsed against it, gasping for breath. She was safe, for now. But she knew that the man was still out there, lurking in the darkness, waiting to strike again. She stumbled to her bedroom, still shaking from the encounter. As she turned on the lights, she saw a pair of glowing eyes staring at her from the darkness. She gasped and stumbled backward, her heart racing. The creature was unlike anything she had ever seen before, with twisted limbs and a face like a nightmare. It hissed and lunged at her, and Sarah screamed. She ran to her bedroom and locked the door, but the creature was still out there, scratching at the wood. Sarah huddled under her covers, praying that it would go away. But it didn't. For the rest of the night, Sarah could hear it lurking in the darkness, waiting for her to come out. She knew she had to call for help, but her phone was in the living room, and the creature was right outside her door. Sarah tried to stay as quiet as possible, hoping the creature would lose interest and leave. But it didn't. The scratching continued, growing louder and more persistent. She could feel the creature's presence, its hot breath on the other side of the door. Desperate, Sarah began to look for anything she could use to defend herself. She searched through her room, but she had nothing. No weapons, no tools, nothing. She was defenseless. She heard a loud crash from the living room, and her heart sank. The creature had found its way in. She could hear it moving around, knocking over furniture, and growling. Sarah knew she had to act fast. She took a deep breath, opened her door, and charged towards the living room. She saw the creature for the first time, its twisted form illuminated by the flickering light of a candle. It was larger than she had thought, with razor-sharp claws and teeth that glinted in the light. Sarah grabbed the first thing she could find, a vase, and hurled it at the creature. It missed, shattering against the wall. The creature turned to face her, its eyes glowing with malice. She scrambled to find something else, anything that could save her. But it was too late. The creature charged towards her, and Sarah closed her eyes, waiting for the end. But then, suddenly, there was a loud knock on her front door. The creature hesitated for a moment, distracted by the noise, and Sarah took her chance. She darted towards the door and opened it, revealing a group of police officers. They rushed inside, guns drawn, and confronted the creature. It was a fierce battle, with gunfire and howls echoing through the apartment. But in the end, the creature was subdued, and Sarah was saved. The police explained that the creature was a result of a scientific experiment gone wrong. It had escaped from a laboratory and had been on the loose in the city for weeks, attacking and killing anyone it came across. Sarah was shaken but relieved. She knew she had come close to death, but she had survived. She vowed to never take her safety for granted again and to always be aware of the dangers that lurked in the darkness. Thank you for listening. We really hope you liked it. Please leave a comment, subscribe and like the video to encourage us to keep going and providing you with more stories.